connects you to the newsmakers.
Citi News.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Citi Prime News. The news is live from our studio at Adabraka in Accra. I am Zoe Abube-Eduardo. Coming up, 2 more buildings collapse in Cape Coast following torrential rains. Central Regional Minister orders demolition of weak structures to prevent further collapse.
We ordered that the remaining buildings will be brought down as early as possible.
Also coming up, floods, 4 school closures and disrupted livelihoods in Keta communities as access roads are cut off.
From upper primary to JSS, they may go into school, but the lower primary and then the KGs, they've not been going to school because of the flooding.
Still ahead, National Union of Ghana students concerned about rising visa overstays and document fraud among Ghanaian students.
It's a very worrying trend. This is something that we have been warning students abroad against for a while now, that if you travel abroad to study, do study and come back.
And later, Ghana records 2 new cases of Mpox, bringing the country's total number of confirmed cases to 119. The news is live across a number of our partner stations. In the Western region, we're on Premier 100.5 FM, Sky Power 93.5 FM, and Beach 105.5 FM, all in Takrade. In the Bono region, J Life 95.5 FM in Sunyane. Ashanti region, we are on Orange FM 107.9 in Kumasi. Volta region, Akpini Radio 96.7 MHz in Pando, and Heritage FM 107.3 in Hohoi. In the Northern region, we are on Dasuma 99.1 in Yendi. Upper East, Word FM 88.3 in Zwarungu. Upper West region, Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura, and in the Northeast region, we're on Eagle FM 94.1 in Waluwale. We're also live on YouTube, on Citi FM's YouTube page, as well as our Facebook and Twitter handles.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
We're grateful for your time this afternoon. Now we begin from the Volta region, where flooding in Mamime and Laoshime in the Keta municipality has forced lower primary pupils to stay home, with school buildings and access roads submerged. Several homes and farmlands have also been affected, causing losses running into thousands of cedis. A volunteer teacher, Patience Dogbache, tells Citi News the safety of pupils is priority. She added that the recurring floods are discouraging teachers from accepting postings to the area.
The condition we are passing now through the flooding issue is very bad. At times, if I'm going to school with the kids like that, you have to hold their hands. So even if some are trying to fall, you have to make sure they don't fall, including the teacher too. So we need help. In fact, the government should do something serious about this. For now, from upper primary to JSS, they may go into school, but the lower primary and then the KGs, they've not been going to school because of the flood. The government should help us with the canoe, the life jackets, and then the road. Because the most problem or the challenges we are facing now is the road issue. So they should construct a road for us. They are suffering. Even some of the pregnant women, they are going to the hospital. Some of them, they have to give birth on the road, or they lost their life on the road because of the road problem.
You heard a teacher who is volunteering in the affected area. She's Patience Dugbache. In response, the municipal chief executive for Keta Wisdom Siade said assessment efforts are underway to provide relief and basic services to affected households.
Yeah, we cannot build a bridge immediately, so we want to give them boats and the canoes so that they can be using, which I have given money for the repairs of the old ones. Now, assessment of this thing is going to be done today of the individual homes affected. The officers are moving there, finalize the assessment work so that we kind of deploy some relief items to support those households that have been affected. I have spoken with them even this morning. The fact is that we are with them, and then the NADMO will actually come and give them some relief items. Yeah, what happened is that we have not been consulted with, because I work through the assembly member and the elders. So whilst we were working at getting the problem temporarily solved, to give them canoe, which they are used to. Okay, these are people who themselves cross the distance with canoes. So we realized that when we activate the old ones for the time being, then the new ones will also be made.
That was the Municipal Chief Executive for Keta, Wisdom Siade. Let's now turn attention to the central region, specifically Cape Coast, where they have recorded 2 more building collapses, bringing the total to 6 within a week. Last night, a residential structure at Brofiedu in central Cape Coast collapsed around 10 p.m. during a downpour. No casualties were reported, as residents had already sought shelter elsewhere due to flooding. But occupants remain reluctant to relocate despite the weakened structure. One of them, Esimeri, told Citi News they will need government assistance.
The building collapsed as a result of the floods yesterday. The water entered the rooms around 10 p.m., causing the building to collapse eventually. Luckily, no one was injured or affected by the collapse. We want the authorities to demolish our buildings and rebuild them. We have lost most of our belongings, so we are pleading with the government to come to our aid.
So there was an occupant of one of the collapsed building, AC Mary. She was speaking to our Central Regional Correspondent, Akwesi Ado, who has joined me on the phone lines for more on this. Good afternoon, Akwesi. If you can hear me, specifically, where are these buildings located in Cape Coast? If you can bring us up to speed with these latest developments. Apologies, we've lost Akwesi Ado on the line there. The story is that Cape Coast has recorded 2 more building collapses, bringing the total number to 6 within a week. Last night, a residential structure at Brofiedu in the central Cape Coast collapsed around 10 p.m. And you just heard there Esimeri, who is a resident there, speaking to us there. We have Akwesi Ado back on the line. Good afternoon, Akwesi.
Yeah, hello.
If you can hear me, so specifically, where are these buildings located in Cape Coast?
Okay, so these 2 buildings which collapsed yesterday are located at Brofiedu and then West End. Now, Brofiedu form part of the central Cape Coast, and then West End is just around the Sado College. And specifically, with the building located in Brofiedu, it is a residential facility. But luckily, there was no casualty because according to the occupants of that particular facility, they had gone outside the building to seek solace when the building began getting flooded yesterday during the rain. And then the one at around the Sado College is a building under construction. It is a story building with the pillars raised, and then it collapsed entirely to the ground. So this brings to about 6 of the buildings that have collapsed here in Cape Coast. And let me mention that 5 of the buildings are specifically located in the central part of the city. That is at around London Bridge and then Emissary and then Brofiedu.
You've spoken to residents. Have they told you why they are still living within this weakened building despite warnings from authorities?
Okay, so according to the residents, they have no other place to move to. Some of them are telling me that they cannot afford rent, which is the reason they are still occupying there. And then also there are some persons who have told me that they have lived in this house since childhood for several years. Some have lived here for over 50 years. And so they are telling me that they are so inclined to the culture of that particular area, and do not think they would fit into any other community. Some are skeptical about whether authorities are going to stick to their word and really provide for them accommodation, just as it's been promised by the mayor and then also reiterated by the regional minister. And so they are being skeptical about moving, even though many of these buildings are showing visible cracks, signaling that they could collapse at any point in time.
Now, we know there are some victims, people who have been displaced. What's their general state as we speak?
Okay, so let's begin with those whose houses have collapsed. Now, it's really become difficult for many of them. Today, for instance, there are children in the various communities who could not go to school because they've lost their school uniforms and reading materials. There are women with babies. There are pregnant women who do not have a place to lay their head. It is just this morning that the mayor of Cape Coast, George Justice Arthur, has announced that they are moving the people into a temporary shelter, and that is a market that is under construction. Now, those who fell victims, some of them have been treated and discharged. There is only one person who still remains on admission at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital.
All right. And before I let you go, now the mayor has, the Central Regional Minister has ordered or directed the Cape Coast Municipal Assembly to demolish all weakened buildings immediately. That is to prevent further disasters. Now, based on where you are, do you foresee any possible collapse if nothing is done about the situation?
Exactly. So the rains continue to come down, and then these buildings remain weak. Just as I mentioned earlier, some of these buildings, they predate Ghana's independence. They are very old. Some of them were built up around in the 1930s. So you can imagine how old these buildings are. And they were built with laterite and then wood. And there's not been any significant renovation works for some of these buildings. And so, yes, should nothing be done immediately, I foresee quite a number of buildings coming down here in Cape Coast. And let me also mention that there are some residents of the city who have been pressing on authorities to take action against persons who are building in waterways. Today, for instance, the Central Regional Minister, has been touring places that have been affected by flooding. And one of the areas, which is Antebi, we have scores of residents pouring out clad in red and black, demonstrating. And what they are calling for is that the minister should take action because, according to them, there is an individual who has decided to erect a structure in waterway, and no amount of caution has been able to cause that individual to refrain from that action. So they want authorities to take stricter action against such individuals.
Thank you so much for your in-depth report. That was Akwesi Ado reporting from the Central Region, Cape Coast to be specific. He mentioned that the Central Regional Minister toured some areas today. Let's now listen to the Central Regional Minister, Iduama Ocho Ekupeni.
So we ordered that they...
We do apologize, we're unable to bring you that voice now. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News. I am Zoe Abubeduado. The news is coming to you live from our studio in Adabraka, Accra. Still ahead, National Union of Ghana students concerned about rising visa overstays and document fraud among Ghanaian students. Please stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You all come back. Now, the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, has pledged to address the infrastructure challenges facing Sunyani Technical University. Speaking at the inauguration of the university's governing council, Mr. Idrisu stressed the urgent need to expand facilities to meet the growing demand for technical education. He noted that boosting infrastructure is critical to delivering quality training and sustaining the institution's growth.
I'm also aware of your major infrastructure deficit. I'm sure, Vice Chancellor, you might have been told. One of my very early engagements with Charles, I should thank you for hosting us at the Sunyani Polytechnic. It gave me an opportunity after the Charles meeting to catch a glimpse of the school, its environment, and its infrastructure. I wasn't excited at all. It only woke me up that I have more to do as minister to support you with infrastructure, particularly lecture theaters and accommodation, to support the young people who are desirous of accessing quality higher education in the area of electronics engineering.
Minister of Education Haruna Idrisu now, his deputy Clement Apak says government is closely monitoring the implementation of the school feeding program across the country. He noted that some schools have been reported for serving substandard meals, which undermines the program's core objectives. Speaking on the Citi Breakfast Show, Dr. Park said, while the program has been decentralized, government is ready to explore alternative measures should complaints of students being underfed persist.
That some managers of some schools are not applying the resources satisfactorily, because the intention of this policy, students get quality food in a timely manner. So reports that we had received, including a video that His Excellency the President sent to the minister, clearly gave us some form of confirmation that rumors that we were picking up, that some heads were not applying the monies the way that we expected them to apply in terms of the quality and the quantity of the food. Seeing dramatic improvements was a reason to worry. And that was why the minister signaled that conversations are going on. And if we do not see serious commitment to the reasons why the current policy is in place, clearly then alternative arrangements would have to be looked at. And in fact, it is true that conversations are ongoing with CHAS towards looking at an alternative that would ensure that the students are fed properly and that there's a balanced diet and that there is sufficient portions of food to ensure that they get the needed nutrition to assist them in obtaining the education that we all want them to obtain.
Deputy Education Minister Clement Apak. The National Union of Ghana Students is raising alarm over the rising number of Ghanaian students overstaying their visas and using fake documents in international applications. The union urged students to act responsibly and understand the wider impact of their actions. Speaking to Citi News, the NUC's president Daniel Kole-Botwe warned that such misconduct could damage Ghana's international image and limit future opportunities for deserving students.
I believe that it's a very worrying trend. This is something that we have been warning students abroad against for a while now, that if you travel abroad to study, do study and come back. One other thing we've usually been speaking about is also using officious documents to apply for study abroad applications. And you realize that these issues have now come back to haunt us as a nation. For me, I've always encouraged students to study in the nation if the course they are going to study is offered here, with the exception of courses that they may not be able to get in the country, for which reason they will go out to study.
The union has also welcomed the government's planned introduction of the Ghana Scholarship Authority Bill, expected to be presented to Parliament in the coming weeks. NUCS believes the bill will help streamline and coordinate the awarding of scholarships nationwide, ensuring fairness and improved access for deserving students.
It's very welcome. I've been in the know, working closely with the minister on this issue. The challenges are myriad. Beyond nepotism, we have an uncoordinated scholarship space in the country. And so Scholarship Secretariat is giving scholarships, Ghana Gas is giving scholarships, GMPC Foundation is giving scholarships. And sometimes one person is able to take, with one same application, get a scholarship from this organization, get the same scholarship from this organization, get a scholarship for the same course, and aggregate all these amounts of money and sometimes take refunds of the monies that they are gained from the other, whilst others are not able to get. And so this scholarship authority would coordinate all these various scholarships within the country.
That was the president of the National Union of Ghana Students, Daniel Kole-Botwe. The National Coordinator of the District Road Improvement Project, Neil Vanderpoy, says orientation sessions are currently underway for operators of road construction equipment across the country. This follows reports of damage to some of the machinery due to insufficient training. Under the previous administration, 2,240 units of earth-moving equipment were procured to enhance road infrastructure in both rural and urban areas. Speaking on the Citi Breakfast Show, Mr. Vanderpoy justified the ongoing retraining efforts, stating that they are necessary to ensure the optimal use of the equipment and prevent further damage.
So they were not sufficiently trained. And so some of them, even the tipper trucks, in tipping them, you must know the level you should go. Some people, you don't have to go beyond a particular level. There are so many things you have to learn in managing the equipment. So we have to take our time now. We've recruited 4,460 people across the country. Every district, 17 people. One coordinator in every district. All of them are going to go through training. As of today, as I'm talking to you now, we are in Ada having orientation for the regional coordinators. After that, we are having orientation for district coordinators. Side by side, the training of all the operators across the country. His Excellency the President has been magnanimous enough and assured us of a warrant to employ all these people under the local government system so that they will be employees of the assemblies and be able to do the work that the assemblies will require them to do.
Responding to public concerns over deteriorating road conditions amid the ongoing rainy season, Neil Vanderpoy urged citizens to remain patient. According to him, carrying out roadworks during heavy rains is counterproductive. However, he assured that immediate remedial measures will be taken in communities that have been cut off by the rains.
And then we worked on the Atamils Highway from the old barrier to Aplaku. Bernard, just in 2 weeks, it started raining again. The road has gone bad again. It means that assembly will have to use another money, buy gravel, buy laterite, buy whatever they have to buy, come back and work. That is if we want to keep the roads in shape. It is only prudent, economically wiser, to wait and let the rains end. Then you can know the magnitude of the problem on a road, and then you can go in and fix it. If you go in now, sometimes you may even bring the laterite, and it will rain today, it will wash everything away. So it is important that we exercise some bit of restraint and wait. By our program, first week, second week in August, we shall move into full operation in every district, especially in the southern part. As I'm talking to you now, there are so many cases of emergency. There are some areas that this little rain has even cut off certain communities. In that situation, we will have to do a remedial measure to alleviate the plight and the suffering of the people who have been affected.
National Coordinator of the District Road Improvement Program, Neil Vanderpoy. Now, the Director of Strategy, Research and Communication at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Samuel Apiadako, is proposing a ban on paid political advertisement on television, radio, and public billboards. He argues that the dominance of campaign messaging by wealthy individuals and political parties undermines democratic fairness and gives an undue advantage to the financially powerful. Speaking at a campaign finance transparency conference by Transparency International Ghana, he stressed the need to drastically reduce the cost of running for public office.
We dare to say that there ought to be a way, when it's amended, that any donation will require that a tax is paid on, similar to like a gift. That if it's possible to reduce the cost of political campaigning, we should ban paid political advertisements on TV and radio, as well as the large billboards that clutter public spaces. If it's possible, this will prevent the wealthiest candidate or parties from dominating the public sphere and ensures the election remains a contest of ideas, not just of financial power. We think that if these things are done, they will help. Also, an amendment of the Political Parties Act to state clearly that internal party politics is public election.
Mr. Apiadako also called for a review of the current framework where the Electoral Commission serves as both referee and regulator. He proposed the establishment of an independent political party finance audit committee to enhance transparency and accountability in campaign financing.
Ghana should explore the establishment of an independent political party finance audit committee, similar to that of Norway. So this committee would perform functions separately from the organization of the election, and we think that the body should consist of representatives from the audit service, the office of the special prosecutor, and say the judiciary. And this committee can be headed by a judge. And this committee will leverage on existing expertise, infrastructure, and operate within a dedicated body so that you are not creating a new office. So it's more of a committee that will be tasked with the job of reviewing annual financial reports submitted by political parties, ensuring compliance with Ghana's Political Parties Act, and then imposing sanctions for violations and refers irregularities for criminal investigations as well as prosecution.
Samuel Apiadakun is the Director of Strategy, Research and Communication at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, the Ghana Health Service has confirmed 2 new Mpox cases, raising the total to 119, formerly known as monkeypox. The disease spreads mainly through close contact. No new deaths have been recorded and no patients are currently on admission. The Ghana Health Service is urging the public to follow safety protocols and report symptoms early. Now, the Women's Caucus in Parliament is urging Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman to ensure the effective enforcement of the Affirmative Action Law. The law passed last year seeks to secure at least 30% representation of women in political appointments by 2026 and promote equal opportunities across sectors, including the private sector. During a courtesy call on the Vice President, Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Appiagyei said the caucus stands ready to support her in fulfilling her mandate.
It was only last year, July, that we passed the Affirmative Action Law. The law is now in place. If we are here, we can't just overlook it, but rather draw your attention to the fact that the implementation of the law is very crucial. And it is important that as your role as a mother of this house, we are all your children, and we are going to support you. Your delivery as a vice president will be one that is exceptional, one that is unprecedented. And that's why we've come together as a group to encourage you, to support you, and also to tell you that we are very proud of you, and we will continue to support the effort you made.
That was the Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Appiagyei. Meanwhile, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has urged the Women Caucus to leverage their positions as parliamentarians to drive positive change and uplift others. She pledged to engage in further discussions with the caucus to shape policies that will foster national development and promote gender equality.
And for me, the important point is, so now that we are here, what are we doing with the opportunity? It cannot just be for us. As the good book says, not unto us. So it cannot be unto us as individuals. It can be unto us as how we use that opportunity to bring others up. And in our demographic, talking about others, we can focus on the young ladies. There are enough in our constituencies that we can build up.
That was the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. Finally, the Bank of Ghana has reversed its decision to terminate the contract of nearly 100 personnel recruited in December 2024 following public backlash and internal discussions. Originally, the central bank had cited poor performance during probation as the basis for the terminations, with 97 recruits issued dismissal letters on June 19, which was to be effective on June 23. However, Citi news sources note that the BOG board has rescinded the decision, asking affected staff to resume work next week. Meanwhile, civil society group Imani Africa has lauded the Bank of Ghana's decision to reverse the dismissal of nearly 100 employees. Imani President Franklin Kujo, in a social media post, described the reversal as a commendable show of responsive leadership. And that's how we end today's edition of the City Prime News, which came to you live from our studio at Adabaka in Accra. Log on to our website, citynewsroom.com, for more news. I am Zoe Abubeidwadu. Have a good afternoon.
City News. We speak first.